What is up guys, it's Cal, and in this video I'm going to be talking about everything that will be coming in patch 9.1. But first I want to apologize for not uploading a whole lot of content recently because 9.0 is just dragged on for way too long, and Blizzard realized that Final Fantasy XIV is actually competition to them, so they're giving the go ahead on 9.1. Anyways, many probably know by now that 9.1 is coming out June 29th. Now the raid is coming out on July 6th, just 1 week after patch drop. I believe it's typically been 2 weeks after the patch is hit, but nonetheless, July 6th is the raid. So there's that. Now I actually want to talk about the raid last because the loot that comes from the raid is pretty freaking cool. The loot that specifically comes from Sylvanas and Kel'thuzad, I am stoked about. So let's go over the new mega dungeon. This is Tazavesh, the Veiled Market. It's an 8 boss dungeon and is centered around a broker trading city theme. It's of course going to be kind of similar to Megagon in the sense that it will start out as Mythic only without a Mythic Plus version. Now none of the bosses are very memorable names, so I'm not going to be really going into them, although the third boss seems to be some sort of event where you're helping the postmaster with something, so that's interesting. Oh, and the second to last boss is a pirate dragon. The last boss has a chance to drop the Cartel Master's Gear Glider mount, and this dungeon will have a hard mode where you can get the Tazavesh Gear Glider mount as well. The gear out of here is 226, which is on par with the current Mythic Castle Nathria drops, but some of the gear in here has some interesting effects, like these plate bracers off the first boss, where if you're disarmed, you grow in size slightly and your auto attack speed is increased by 100%. So that's neat. This crossbow from the fourth boss, which gives you stacks of this thing on your crit hits, and then at 5 stacks it hits your target for arcane damage. Then this trinket from the last boss, which you can use on a friendly target, and you give them 20 of their highest secondary stat, and you will get 100 of that same stat for 30 minutes. It's pretty cool stuff. So yeah, that's Tazavesh. Next, the Mythic Plus changes. There's now going to be a new rating system for Mythic Plus. They're essentially integrating the Raider IO score into the game, but it's scaled differently. When you do dungeons, it'll give you a score, and you increase that score by doing a higher key and getting a better time in that dungeon. Also, Fortified and Tyrannical apparently have their own scores, so it tries to give you an incentive to run Mythic Plus during both the fixed weeks. The Keystone Master achievement for the mount will require you to get a rating of 2000, which apparently can be done by getting a plus 15 in every dungeon on both Tyrannical and Fortified weeks. So good job there, Blizzard. Or alternatively, you can completely avoid 1 week of affixes and time plus 24 keys during the other affix week, and you'll achieve the same result. So there's that. Now the new affix that is being introduced in Season 2 is called Tormented. Essentially, each dungeon will have 4 lieutenants in it. Each lieutenant you kill, you'll get an anima orb like in Torghast, and hopefully that anima orb will have a good anima power for you. It does let you choose, of course, the anima power, very similar to how it lets you choose in Torghast, but yeah, hopefully it's a, it's a useful one. For every lieutenant you don't kill, it will buff the last boss. So there's that. Let's talk about PvP. So PvP gear is getting a bit of an update. All PvP gear across the board are getting a 6 item level nerf. This is because a lot of people who would normally PvE would actually gear themselves in PvP because they found it to be easier, or easier accessible at least, and PvP gear was actually comparable with PvE gear as far as, damage and output and all that goes. So they're nerfing it by 6 item levels. But when you are in PvP combat, your PvP gear will go up by 13 levels. I'm gonna be honest with you, I kind of hate it when Blizz does stuff like this. I think that they should just bring back resilience or something. Or here's a compromise. Get rid of versatility because it's a boring stat. Bring back multi-strike, and then also bring back resilience for PvP gear. It's just my 2 cents. Then there's new season mounts, of course, for the Alliance and the Horde. Now let's talk about the Maw. So first off, there will be a new area called Korthia. It'll be a part of your Covenant questline, which by the way, renown goes up to level 80, so there's that. And yeah, new dailies and such, new questing hub, you get the idea. Now for the Maw as a whole, we will be able to use all of our mounts in the Maw, but there will be no flying. We'll see more of the Covenants in the Maw, which I guess makes it seem like less of a scary place, as Blizzard put it, and we get to learn more about this thing, the Eye of the Jailer. Torghast, there's going to be some new scoring system with Torghast, as well as more perks to it. Each Torghast run will have 5 floors now, which is down from 6. Floors 1, 2, and 4 will have regular enemies. Floor 3 is a vendor, and then floor 5 has the final boss. There will be 4 more layers, so each Torghast has layers 9 through 12 now. The death counter in Torghast is going away, as well as the Terragru, since he's going to be the first boss in the Sanctum of Domination raid. You can also get random buffs in Torghast that are different from your anima powers. These are called blessings. So yeah, I don't really know much about those. Anyways, for Covenants, the campaign will continue, of course, and like I said before, Renown Cap will be going up to 80, so it is doubling. Along with this, flying will be a thing to unlock as well. So unlocking flying will be pretty straightforward as opposed to previous expansions. There's no Pathfinder achievement. You'll just need to get Renowned 44, which unlocks chapter 12 in your Covenant campaign. Complete that chapter, and you will unlock flying for all characters in your account. We will be able to get 44 renown on the second week of 9.1, so it's something to look forward to. Oh, and Oribos and the Maw, including Korthia, will have no flying in them. You also cannot fly from one Shadowland zone to another, which that should be kind of obvious. You do still have to use the light worms, or whatever they're called, to fly from one zone to another. Then there's a ton of mounts coming out. Watch my mount overview video for that, and that's about it, except for one thing. The Sanctum of Domination. I wanted to say this for the end, mainly because of the cool item drops that it has to offer. So the Sanctum of Domination is of course the new raid coming out. It's a 10 boss raid. Some notable characters in it are the Terragru, which is the first boss, the Eye of the Jailer, which is the second, the 9, which is centered around Sylvanas' 9 Valkyr that she allied herself with between Wrath of the Lich King and Cataclysm. You can watch my Sylvanas lore video to, find out more about that. The Remnant of ner'zhul is the 4th boss. ner'zhul, of course, it was the first Lich King. You can watch my Lich King lore video to find out more about that. There's the Guardian of the First Ones, which is the 7th boss. The first ones are actually a pretty recent lore that was developed, which are, well, as the name says it, they were the first ones in the Warcraft universe. They essentially shaped the Titans, the Eternal Ones, the Void, the Light. They were like the architects for the Shadowlands and Oribos. Anyways, this is their Guardian that we're fighting. And then there's Kel'thuzad, of course a fan favorite. He's the 9th boss. And Sylvanas Windrunner is of course the 10th and final boss. So let's talk about the loot. So the first 8 bosses drop the same item level loot. LFR is 213, Normal is 226, Heroic is 239, and Mythic is 252. Then the last 2 bosses spike up slightly, with LFR being 220, Normal is 233, Heroic is 246, and Mythic is 259. Now both Kel'thuzad and Sylvanas drop some pretty unique loot. So Kel'thuzad drops the Devouring Cold, which is a one-handed sword that looks a lot like the Sword of a Thousand Truths from South Park. Sadly, it doesn't leech mana, or whatever they said in the episode. He also drops a two-handed sword called Jaethes the Prison Blade. I might be saying that wrong. The use effect from this blade says it consumes a lesser weapon, destroying it utterly to feed the power of Jaethes. So apparently what this does is you can use it on another weapon in your inventory, presumably another Shadowlands epic, but I'm not 100% sure on those specifics. And it will give you a consumed weapon essence that actually allows you to change the secondary stats of the sword, which is pretty cool. Interesting stuff there. Now for Sylvanas. So Sylvanas drops a dagger, which is for rogues. It's the Edge of Night. It actually resembles the same dagger that she killed Sarfing with. So yeah, it has the equip effect, which applies Banshee's Blight, giving your finishing moves a 3% chance per combo point spent to deal shadow damage, and it can stack up to 4 times as the target gets more injured. Then, she also happens to drop a quiver for hunters. Every 5 shots, you trigger Withering Fire, which is a frontal AoE cone. Yeah. So there's that. Finally, we're getting quivers back. It is a back piece, by the way, so it does take the back slot. And then finally, she drops a freaking legendary bow for hunters in your face, all other classes, because hunters are obviously the best in everything. Yeah. Ray Shalar Death's Whisper is its name. It seems to do AoE damage, and it silences all players struck. I don't know how that will be handled in PvP. Maybe the equip effect goes away in PvP. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Not too sure. The drop chance is unknown. Now, as a hunter, I do think it would be pretty cool if it was like a super rare drop, like the Warglaives. We haven't seen loot be like that for a while. I don't know. Also, this legendary can be equipped along with the other Shadowlands legendary, the crafted one, since the crafted legendaries have a unique crafted tag on them. And that's it. That's really everything coming in 9.1. I'm pretty excited about it. As excited as I'm gonna be, I guess, at this point. But I just hope that there isn't nearly this big of a content drought until the next patch. Anyways, guys, that's the entire video. Feel free to let me know your favorite thing in the comments below, and feel free to leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it at all. And yeah, sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.